Well, for the second time in just over a week, an Air Canada Rouge flight had to make an emergency landing to offload an unruly passenger. A witness tells us that the man appeared to be intoxicated before the plane even left the runway.
It's a pretty dramatic procedure. Landing in Miami, there were 7 police officers who came. He was hauled off in cuffs behind it. FBI and Homeland Security were involved. So it was a very dramatic circumstance.
Laura and her husband were heading home from Costa Rica last night on Air Canada Rouge flight 1807. She tells me issues began upon boarding. What was he doing that made you look at him and wonder what was going on?
He was talking to everybody extremely loudly, touching people, lots of hand gestures. At a couple of times, people asked him to calm down. Indeed, before we even took off, you could tell that there was a lot of unusual animation going on.
Laura tells me the man was clearly intoxicated and things began to escalate when staff refused to serve him alcohol.
The staff were clear they didn't serve him alcohol, and they were kind of pushing through the rest of the carts. And that spurred him to stand up and run back towards the cart and really get in a very animated, I would say, argumentative discussion with the staff. And at one point, people were standing up and shouting and swearing. So there was about 4 or 5 people involved at one point.
Almost 2 hours into the flight, the pilot diverted to the Miami airport where the man was taken away in handcuffs. Are you surprised that he was allowed on the plane in the first place? Was it that obvious that something was off?
He wasn't combative, but there was clearly something going on. So I was a little bit surprised and I was wary. I think the staff were probably wary too.
According to the Canadian aviation regulations, no operator of an aircraft should allow a person to board if it's believed that they are impaired by alcohol or a drug to an extent that may present a hazard. We took this concern to Air Canada, but we're told in an email they cannot comment specifically on this case because it's in the hands of police in Miami. But generally speaking, Air Canada staff are trained to deal with all types of situations.
Bye.
This video is of a similar incident from just last week on another Air Canada Rouge flight. It shows an Ontario man being handcuffed after the plane was also diverted to Florida. In that case, the man, who also appeared to be intoxicated, threatened staff with hot pots of coffee and tried to open the emergency exit.
I guess I wondered a little bit more around the training of staff in recognizing these kinds of behaviors.
Now, at this point, we're still waiting to hear what charges will be laid against this passenger. According to Transport Canada, though, the consequences can be quite severe. Depending on the incident, individuals convicted of disruptive behavior on a plane could be fined up to $100,000 or be sentenced to up to 5 years in prison.